Millions of people wake up every morning proud of their discipline, skipping breakfast, drinking black coffee, and waiting for that first meal to finally melt away the fat. Yet somehow nothing changes. The belly stays. The scale doesn't move. And that quiet frustration builds because you're doing everything right. You're fasting, you're patient, you're following the rules. And still, your body refuses to let go. I know that feeling all too well. I used to think fasting was the golden ticket, that if I could just push through the hunger, the fat would disappear. But no matter how long I fasted, my midsection stayed soft and puffy. My energy crashed halfway through the day, and my cravings hit me like a wave the moment I started eating again. I couldn't understand it. How could something so scientific fail me so completely? What I didn't know was that fasting itself wasn't the problem. My body was, or more accurately, how I was feeding my body after the fast. Each time I broke my fast with the wrong foods, even so-called healthy ones, I was unknowingly spiking insulin, crashing my blood sugar, and switching off fat burning for hours. My metabolism was constantly being reset, never given the chance to stay in that deep, powerful fat burning state. The truth is, fasting isn't broken, but most people unknowingly break themselves while fasting. And that's why, when I discovered how to pair fasting with a pure, high-protein, zero-carb carnivore approach, everything changed. My hunger disappeared. My energy stayed steady. And for the first time, my body became a true fat-burning machine. Have you ever fasted perfectly only to see zero results? Still stuck with that stubborn belly fat that refuses to move. What most people don't realize is that fat loss isn't just about not eating. It's about what your hormones are doing while you're not eating, especially insulin. We think fasting equals fat burning, but in truth, that only happens if insulin stays low. The moment insulin rises, even just slightly, your body gets a completely different message. Stop burning fat, start storing it. And the tricky part is that insulin can spike from the smallest, most innocent things you probably never thought twice about. When I first started fasting, I thought I was doing everything perfectly. I avoided breakfast, I drank black coffee, I waited until noon before having my first meal. But what I didn't understand was that even my little habits, like adding a splash of almond milk, a packet of stevia, or that flavored electrolyte powder, were all causing micro spikes in insulin. They were small, yes, but powerful enough to completely interrupt the fat burning process. It's like turning off a light switch. Once insulin is triggered, your body can't access stored fat no matter how long you go without food. And it's not just what's in your cup or on your tongue. Stress itself can raise insulin. Every time you push through exhaustion, get anxious about food, or feel frustrated that the scale isn't moving, your body releases cortisol, and cortisol tells your liver to release glucose, which triggers insulin again. Suddenly, even though you're fasting, your body is still in storage mode. It's working ass against you while you think you're working so hard for it. Here's what's actually happening inside your body. Imagine fat cells like little balloons filled with stored energy. Insulin acts as the gatekeeper. When insulin is high, the gate is locked. The fat can't leave. When insulin drops, those gates open and the fat inside starts flowing out as fuel. That's the whole point of fasting. To keep those gates open long enough for your body to start using its own energy reserves. But when you have those tiny insulin spikes from creamers, sweeteners, or stress, those gates close instantly. Even if it's for a short time, your body never fully gets into that deep, steady fat burning rhythm. This is where the carnivore approach changes everything. When you eat pure animal foods, steak, eggs, butter, beef, salt, your insulin barely moves. Protein and fat don't cause big spikes the way carbs or even fiber-filled, healthy foods do. That means your body stays in a low insulin state, even as after you eat. So instead of constantly flipping between fat burning and fat storing, your body stays in a steady, consistent fat burning mode. That's why people who combine fasting with carnivore often see results faster and with less hunger. They're not fighting their hormones. They're working with them. Think about this for a moment. If you've been fasting for weeks, maybe months, but your belly fat hasn't budged, could it be that your fasts aren't truly insulin-free? Maybe it's that 0-calorie, sweetener in your coffee. Maybe it's the oat milk you thought was harmless. Or maybe it's the constant stress and lack of recovery that keeps your body on high alert. Every one of those things can quietly switch off your fat burning, even when you're technically not eating. When I finally understood this, it was like unlocking the code. I stopped obsessing over fasting hours and started focusing on insulin control. I switched to pure black coffee, salt water, and nothing else during my fast. And when I broke my fast, I did it with real animal foods, eggs, beef, butter. No plants, no sugar, no sweeteners. For the first time, my fasts actually worked. The bloating disappeared, my energy stayed stable, and my body started changing without the constant battle of hunger and fatigue. So I want you to really think about your own fasts. Are they truly insulin-free? Or are you unknowingly triggering small insulin spikes that are keeping you stuck? Sometimes it's not about fasting harder, it's about fasting cleaner. And when you finally eliminate those hidden insulin traps, your body can do what it's meant to do: burn fat effortlessly, naturally, and continuously. When you've been fasting for hours, your body is in a very delicate, powerful state. Your insulin is low, your fat-burning pathways are wide open, and your body is using stored energy efficiently. But the moment you decide to eat, that single first bite determines whether you keep burning fat or instantly switch back into storage mode. That's why the post-fast meal is everything. It's the make or break moment that decides whether your fasting hours actually worked or just went to waste. I used to think the hardest part of fasting was the not eating part, but I learned the real challenge starts after the fast. When your hunger hits, your brain screams for quick energy, and you reach for something comforting. Most people break their fast with something that feels light or healthy. Maybe fruit, a smoothie, oatmeal, or salad with dressing. It sounds harmless, but it's exactly what flips insulin from low to high within minutes. That single carb heavy meal, after hours of low insulin, creates a sharp spike that slams the door on fat, burning and floods your bloodstream with glucose. Your body suddenly goes from burning fat beautifully to storing everything you just ate as new fat. It's like driving down a clear highway at full speed, then suddenly hitting a traffic jam. Everything stalls. The fat-burning engine shuts off, and your body goes right back to holding on to the very fat you've been trying to lose. What's worse, that surge of insulin often triggers hunger soon after. You've probably felt it. You break your fast, and instead of feeling satisfied, you get hungrier within an hour. That's not your fault. That's your hormones reacting to the insulin spike, pushing you to eat more even when you just finished eating. When I realized this, I started paying attention to what my body actually needed after a fast, not what diet culture told me to eat. Instead of reintroducing carbs or fiber, heavy plant foods, I began breaking my fast with pure, simple carnivore meals: eggs cooked in butter, a fatty ribeye, or ground beef with salt. No plants, no fiber, no sugars, just clean protein and natural fats. And the difference was almost instant. Instead of crashing, I felt calm. Instead of hunger coming back, I felt steady for hours. My digestion was smooth, my energy stayed high, and my mind stayed clear. Here's why it works. Protein and fat create almost no insulin spike. They nourish your body deeply without sending mixed signals to your metabolism. Your body stays in that fat burning rhythm even after you eat. The transition from fasting to feeding becomes seamless. Your energy doesn't fluctuate, your cravings fade, and your body keeps burning fat as fuel instead of flipping back to storing it. Think of your post-fast meal as a bridge. You've just spent hours clearing out toxins, balancing hormones, and burning fat. Now your job is to cross that bridge gently, without shocking your system. When you break the fast with carbs, it's like jumping from that bridge into cold water. Your body panics, insulin surges, and all that metabolic progress reverses. But when you break it with carnivore foods, your body crosses the bridge smoothly, staying in harmony with your fat-burning state. Some of my favorite post-fast meals are so simple they almost feel too easy. 2 or 3 eggs with melted butter and a few bites of steak, or ground beef seasoned with salt and nothing else. If I'm on the go, I'll even have a few slices of fatty beef or hard-boiled eggs. That's it. No sugar, no greens, no sweeteners. The key is to give your body what it can recognize and use instantly: pure protein and fat. And what's incredible is how your hunger changes over time. When you break your fast this way, you stop feeling those uncontrollable cravings later in the day. You stop needing snacks. Your appetite normalizes, and your energy feels grounded and consistent. It's like your metabolism finally trusts you again. So before your next fast, think about this. What's the first thing you usually eat after fasting? Is it spiking insulin and undoing all your hard work? Or is it keeping your body in fat burning mode? That one choice can completely change your results. One of the biggest reasons fasting stops working has nothing to do with willpower or discipline. It's because your body slowly runs out of what it needs to function. When you fast over and over without refueling properly, you're not just running on empty calories, you're running on empty nutrients. And over time, that quiet depletion begins to show up as fatigue, stubborn weight plateaus, brain fog, and even hormonal chaos that keeps your body from burning fat, no matter how hard you try. When I was deep into my fasting phase, I couldn't understand why I felt worse the longer I did it. At first, it felt magical. My appetite dropped, my energy lifted, and the scale even moved. But after a few weeks, things started to shift. My energy crashed halfway through the day, my hair started shedding more than usual, and my sleep became restless. I remember standing in front of the mirror one morning, looking at my dull skin and thinking, how can I be doing everything right and still feel like this? And the truth is, fasting can deplete your body's nutrient reserves if you don't feed it properly when you do eat. You lose electrolytes like sodium, potassium, and magnesium through sweat and urination. And without replacing them, your metabolism begins to slow. Your thyroid, which depends on minerals like iodine and selenium, becomes sluggish. Even your stress hormones start firing in the wrong direction, trying to compensate for the missing fuel. And if your diet after fasting is light on protein or fat, you're also missing essential amino acids and fat-soluble vitamins. The very building blocks your body needs to create hormones, repair cells, and sustain metabolism. Think of your body like a fire. Fasting removes the smoke and clears the air. But if you never add wood back to the fire, the flame eventually burns out. That's what happens when fasting meets nutrient deficiency. You get short-term results followed by long-term burnout. Your body slows everything down to protect itself, and that's when the plateau hits. The moment when no matter how much you fast, nothing changes anymore. The signs are easy to miss at first. Maybe you start craving salty foods or sugar after a long fast. Maybe your sleep gets lighter or your heart races when you stand up, or you find your energy dipping in the afternoon even when you're doing everything right. These are not signs of weakness. They're signals. Your body is saying, I need nutrients, not just less food. This is exactly where the carnivore approach becomes so powerful. When you eat nutrient-dense animal foods, things like beef, eggs, liver, fish, and butter, you give your body everything it's been missing from plant-heavy or restrictive fasting diets. You're flooding your system with bioavailable protein, natural fats, B vitamins, heme iron, and the fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K that keep your metabolism humming. Suddenly, your thyroid has the raw materials to function again. Your adrenals calm down, your insulin stabilizes, and your body finally trusts that it's safe to start burning fat again. What shocked me the most when I started refeeding with carnivore meals was how quickly my energy came back. I didn't feel that desperate hunger anymore. My mood lifted, my sleep deepened, and my hair started to look fuller and healthier again. The constant fatigue I thought was just part of fasting disappeared. My body wasn't fighting me anymore. It was finally supported. When you combine fasting with nutrient-rich carnivore eating, it's like switching your metabolism from survival mode to thriving mode. You're no longer just burning fat, you're rebuilding your foundation. Insulin stays low because you're not eating carbs. Leptin, your satiety hormone, starts working again because you're nourishing your cells. And cortisol, the stress hormone that used to spike from nutrient deprivation, finally settles down. Your body stops feeling starved and starts feeling stable. So if your fasting results have slowed or stopped altogether, it might not be that your fasts are too short or too easy. It might be that your body's missing the very nutrients that make fat loss possible. Think about how you feel lately. Are you more tired, more hungry, more irritable than when you first started fasting. Have you noticed your progress slowing even though your effort hasn't changed? That's your body talking to you. It's not asking for longer fasts. It's asking for nourishment. Have you ever noticed that fasting feels harder the longer you do it? That's not your willpower fading. That's your body begging for nutrients. One of the most frustrating things about fasting is realizing that the longer you do it, the slower your results become. At first, it feels amazing. The weight starts to drop, your hunger shrinks, and your energy feels clean. But somewhere along the way, everything stalls. You're fasting harder, eating less, pushing through hunger, yet somehow your body resists. You're doing more, but losing less. That's not failure. That's your metabolism protecting you. What happens during extended fasting or strict calorie restriction is that your body begins to adapt. It's smart, too smart, actually. When it senses consistent food scarcity, it assumes danger. To keep you alive, it slows everything down. Your thyroid output drops, your resting metabolic rate decreases, and your body starts conserving energy instead of spending it. You start burning fewer calories just sitting still. Your body even starts breaking down muscle tissue, not because it wants to, but because muscle is expensive to maintain. It costs energy. So to survive, your body sacrifices muscle to save fuel. I experienced this firsthand. After weeks of long fasts, I noticed that my body composition was changing, but not in the way I wanted. Yes, the number on the scale dropped, but my body started feeling soft. My muscles looked flatter and my strength plummeted. I was leaner on paper, but weaker and colder in real life. My hands and feet were freezing. My digestion slowed down and I found myself craving salt and fat constantly. What I didn't realize then was that I had slowed my metabolism to a crawl. My thyroid hormones, the very ones that regulate how efficiently I burn energy, had dropped because my body thought it needed to conserve, not burn. This is the hidden cost of fasting. Without the right refeed, your body begins to prioritize survival over transformation. But the good news is it's completely reversible. That's where the carnivore approach comes in. It doesn't just stop the metabolic slowdown, it rebuilds your metabolism from the ground up. When you start eating high-protein, nutrient-dense animal foods, you're sending a completely different message to your body. You're safe. You're nourished. You can burn again. Protein is the most metabolically active nutrient. It requires energy just to digest. This is called the thermic effect of food. Around 25–30% of the calories from protein are burned simply through digestion and absorption. That's a massive advantage over carbs and fats, which are far easier for the body to store. And because animal protein is complete, containing all essential amino acids, it directly supports the rebuilding of lean muscle tissue. More muscle means a higher resting metabolism, meaning you burn more calories even while you sleep. There's another layer most people overlook: mitochondria, your body's tiny fat burning engines. The nutrients in animal foods like carnitine, creatine, CoQ10, and B vitamins help your mitochondria function at full power. That's why people on carnivore often report feeling warmer, more energized, and mentally sharper. Their bodies are literally producing more heat and energy. This increased thermogenesis is a sign that the metabolic fire is burning again. You're not just losing fat, you're rebuilding the system that keeps fat burning alive. When I switched from fasting only to carnivore supported fasting, my body transformed in a completely different way. I started gaining strength, not just losing weight. My energy became steady all day long, and my digestion improved dramatically. I didn't need caffeine to function or naps to recover. My body temperature rose. I didn't feel cold anymore. I could actually feel my metabolism working again, and the fat loss that had stalled for months began moving again. But this time, it felt sustainable. The best part, I could finally eat to nourish, not punish. The steak, eggs, butter, and salt I used to fear became the tools that healed me. My body responded with gratitude, not resistance. Instead of fighting to burn calories, it started burning them naturally. My thyroid function stabilized, my muscles filled out, and I felt more alive in my own skin than I had in years. If you've been fasting longer, eating less, and still feeling stuck, it's not your discipline that's failing you. It's your metabolism asking for help. Your body isn't lazy. It's just underfed and underbuilt. The solution isn't to fast harder, it's to rebuild smarter. So ask yourself honestly, do you feel your metabolism has slowed down despite eating less or fasting more? If your answer is yes, that's not the end, it's the beginning of a new phase. The moment you start nourishing your metabolism instead of starving it, your body will finally start working for you again. One of the hardest parts about fasting isn't the fasting itself, it's what happens when the fast ends. You hold out for hours, staying disciplined, drinking your water, telling yourself you're in control. But then when the eating window opens, it's like something takes over. You start with good intentions, a healthy meal, a balanced plate. But within minutes, you're craving something sweet, crunchy, or comforting. Before you know it, you've undone all your effort in a single sitting. It's not lack of willpower. It's biology. Fasting doesn't automatically reset your hunger hormones. It just suppresses them temporarily. When you start eating again, the brain's reward system, trained by years of sugar, carbs, and snacking, wakes up with full force. Your hunger hormone ghrelin surges, telling you to eat quickly. Meanwhile, leptin, the hormone that tells you you're full, doesn't respond as fast. It lags behind, leaving you in that dangerous gap where your body feels empty and your brain is screaming for quick fuel. That's why so many people binge after fasting. They're still wired for sugar metabolism. I went through that same cycle for months. I'd fast perfectly, drink my black coffee, feel empowered all day, and then crash into a plate of fruit, chocolate, or even healthy, carbs like oatmeal or rice. Every single time, I told myself, just this once. But the cravings never stopped. My hunger felt emotional, not physical. And that's what made fasting so exhausting. Not the hunger itself, but the feeling that I couldn't trust my own body. Everything changed when I switched to pure protein and fat, the carnivore way. Within days, something strange happened. My hunger stopped feeling frantic. The noise in my head, that constant background craving, went silent. My meals became simple, calm, satisfying. I'd eat steak and butter, and instead of wanting more, I'd feel done. Not full to the point of discomfort, just done. My body finally knew it had enough. That's the power of the carnivore satiety reset. When you remove carbs, fiber, and plant chemicals that trigger the brain's reward system, your hunger hormones recalibrate naturally. Ghrelin, the hormone that makes you feel hungry, becomes more stable. It spikes only when your body genuinely needs fuel, not just because it remembers the pleasure of eating sugar. And leptin, the hormone that signals fullness, becomes more sensitive. Your brain can finally hear it again. You start eating when you're hungry and stopping when you're satisfied. No calorie counting, no fear, no guilt. The reason this works so beautifully is that animal foods provide deep cellular nourishment. Protein satisfies your body's real nutritional needs, and fat delivers long-lasting energy. When your cells are truly fed, your brain stops begging for more. It's like your hunger gets rewired from emotional to biological. You no longer eat out of habit or boredom. You eat to fuel life. I remember the first week I broke my fast with only eggs, butter, and beef. There were no cravings after. I didn't reach for dessert. I didn't need a snack. My energy stayed level for hours, and for the first time, I felt free from food. That calmness, that quiet, is something fasting alone never gave me. It only came when I combined fasting with the carnivore approach. If you've ever fasted only to end up overeating right after, it's not because you failed. It's because your brain was still addicted to the quick dopamine hit from carbs. The carnivore diet removes that stimulus. It breaks the cycle. Once your body learns to run on fat and protein, fasting becomes effortless, not a struggle, but a natural rhythm. Hunger fades, focus increases, and food stops controlling you. If you're struggling to stay consistent, a few mindset shifts can help. Don't think of carnivore as restriction. Think of it as returning to simplicity. Eat until you're satisfied, not stuffed. Drink salt water during fast to stabilize electrolytes and calm hunger signals. And most importantly, give your body time to adapt. The first few days may feel strange, but once your appetite hormones reset, the peace that follows is unlike anything else. So now I want to ask you, what's the hardest craving you struggle with during or after fasting? Is it sugar, bread, Or that late night snack you can't resist? And do you think switching to pure protein and fat could finally silence that craving for good? Once you understand how fasting and carnivore work together, fat loss stops being a struggle and starts feeling like rhythm, a natural, sustainable flow between fasting and feeding that supports your body instead of fighting it. You don't have to push harder or starve longer, you just have to create consistency. The real secret isn't intensity, it's harmony. When you combine clean fasting with nutrient-rich carnivore meals, your hormones stabilize, your energy stays even, and your body burns fat continuously without that rebound effect so many people experience. The beauty of this approach is that it doesn't require perfection. It only asks for awareness. Start with something simple like a 16-8 fasting window. 16 hours of fasting, 8 hours of eating. During your fasting hours, keep it clean. Just water, black coffee, or plain electrolytes with no sweeteners. The goal isn't to suffer through hunger, but to keep insulin low and let your body rely on stored fat for fuel. Once your fast is done, break it with a meal that reinforces that fat burning state instead of reversing it. A perfect example would be something like 2 or 3 eggs cooked in butter, followed by a few bites of fatty steak or ground beef. Add salt. That's your electrolyte balance. Skip anything sweet, even keto treats, because they can nudge insulin just enough to interrupt your progress. Your second meal a few hours later could be a ribeye salmon or a mix of beef and eggs. Keep it simple, keep it real. You don't need variety to stay satisfied. You need nourishment that your body can actually use. If you're already comfortable with fasting, you can experiment with longer windows like 18-6 or 20x4. The key is to listen to your body, not your clock. On some days, you'll feel better with 2 meals. On others, just 1 will be enough. The carnivore diet makes this flexibility easy because fat and protein naturally suppress hunger and stabilize blood sugar. You'll notice that fasting feels effortless, not forced, because your body is no longer panicking for glucose. Instead, it's calmly running on ketones, your body's natural, steady energy source. What makes this combination so powerful is how it keeps your hormones balanced day after day. Insulin stays low, leptin stays responsive, cortisol calms down, and your thyroid gets the nutrients it needs from real animal foods. You're not burning out your metabolism like you would with extreme calorie restriction. You're teaching it to work efficiently again. Your body becomes what it was designed to be, a self-regulating, fat-burning machine that knows when to fast, when to feed, and when to rest. I've watched people transform their entire relationship with food using this approach. They start fasting for fat loss, but they stay for the peace, the freedom from cravings, the stability of energy, and the quiet confidence that comes from feeling in control of your body again. I've seen women who struggled for years with yo-yo dieting finally maintain their results because carnivore gave them hormonal balance and fasting gave them structure. The combination healed their metabolism, but it also healed their mindset. And that's what I want you to take from this. This isn't a quick fix. It's a way of living that honors your biology. You don't have to punish yourself with endless fasting marathons or restrict every bite. You just have to stay consistent with your rhythm. Even the Japanese, who are known for longevity and balance, follow this principle. They value steady routines, mindful eating, and respect for the body's natural cycles. That's what makes their approach sustainable. And that's what this fasting carnivore balance is really about. Not chasing results faster, but maintaining them forever. As your hormones rebalance and your metabolism strengthens, you'll start noticing the deeper changes. Your sleep improves, your focus sharpens, your mood lifts, and your energy feels boundless. This isn't just about losing belly fat anymore. It's about long-term healing, about giving your body what it's been asking for all along: simplicity, nourishment, and consistency. Now, I'd love to hear from you what fasting carnivore rhythm works best for you. Do you thrive on 1 meal a day, or do you feel better with 2? How long are your fasting windows, and what meals make you feel your best? Share your experience, because your journey could be the exact story that helps someone else finally find their rhythm too.